Hey friends, welcome to the channel. I'm Ken Smith, and my goal is to turn this into this with just some simple, easy techniques that anybody can do. So let's get at it. Now, where I live, it's kind of hard to find a ton of train shows that are going on. I used to live in the Chicagoland area. You could just about find a train show within spitting distance just about every weekend. But here in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains in East Tennessee, there's pretty much only one train show within about a 2-hour drive from where I live, and that's a year. And so to kind of kick this channel off, I decided I'm just going to buy something like this on eBay. And so let's tear into it. This was actually, when I saw the listing, it was actually partially assembled. Now, I gotta tell you, when you see what I'm dealing with, you're just gonna be shaking your head. But you know, it is what it is, and I knew I had I was up for the challenge. And so here's what we're looking at. We're looking at a partially assembled sand house. Now, for the life of me, I have no idea what that is. And the closest thing that I can even remotely think it is something that, like on my Model A, the battery cable would actually go through here and kind of act as an insulator. So I have no idea what this is. So away it goes. I don't think I need this. I pretty much got a good idea of how this should appear and how this should go, so we're gonna get rid of that. So again, it's partially assembled. Why on earth? Well, I guess there's a couple parts left on that tree, and looks like there might be a couple parts left on this tree. And it looks like there was like a couple parts left on this tree, and nothing on this tree. And looks like all the other stuff is sitting on this tree, and a couple other loose parts. So I think what we're going to do is first decide how we plan on fixing this. And I have some general good ideas of what we're going to do. First thing we're going to do is try to not make this look like a plastic toy. So I have some different water-based acrylic paints, including actually some house paint. We're going to start by painting this up and seeing just what we can do with just a little bit of effort. This paint's called Chocolate Brown, and it is, again, just kind of a water-based paint. I probably should maybe shake it up a little bit. Now, if you want to accurately model something, you know how important photos are to accurately represent what it is that you're modeling. Now, if you're looking at these photos back here, that's just part of a 35,000 photo collection that I have spent decades putting together. They're all prototype photos. And I want to make a special offer just for you. You won't find anywhere else. Click on the link in the description here and check it out. It's just for you, just for watching this video. Just like painting a house, your end-all be-all on what it's going to look like is going to be based on the type of brush that you have. Good brushes get you good work, and cheap brushes generally won't. So these are actually brushes that are designed for making oil paintings. I used to do some oil paintings, and I was during COVID. I was thinking about actually. I used to do art shows, and I'm a photographer by trade. I still am. But I was considering the possibility of of changing careers and doing oil paintings because it was just going to be a lot easier physically. And then COVID came and changed that whole thing, which I've been actually quite happy with the fact that in some regards, COVID helped me do some rethinking as to what I wanted to do. And so, all right, so we got this pretty much painted now. Again, just kind of, you can see it's already 100 times better just throwing some quick and easy paint on there. Really happy with that. This was also assembled. The tower, I'm trying to actually do this in a way that you can see. So the tower was already assembled. We're going to need to get some paint on that as well. And this one, we just got to really kind of work things in. So again, just kind of, you know, work that acrylic paint in. It dries pretty quick. What a difference this is making already. We've taken a plastic model and already improved it, if we've done nothing else, just by throwing on a little bit of water-based acrylic paint. We're not creating any fumes. My wife's happy. I don't know about you guys, but you know, when my wife's happy, I'm happy. And you know, I really don't want fumes in the house either. It's not fun for anyone. She has a super sensitive nose, and I'm not picking on her by any means. But you know, let's be honest. We don't need fumes in our home, and so I'm really happy about that. Now, normally, I'd probably be painting all of these things individually and then assembling them as I needed to. But this was already assembled, and I didn't want to take a chance on breaking anything. So, look at me. I'm actually just grabbing the paint that I spilled. And we really haven't lost any detail, which honestly, I'm pretty impressed with. I haven't done a model like this in this scale in a long, long time. When I say a long time, more than half my life ago. Honestly, I've been modeling in 1/4" scale and G scale, and took a big break from that for 20 years. So this is really kind of refreshing. And just like that, we've got a base coat that we can start weathering up and going from there. All right, so next I'm going to start painting the building. And I can tell you that almost right away, this is almost, man, almost looks too yellowish. Almost looks like it's mustard. We'll see what it looks like when it dries. But that's what we're going to do, really putting this on almost like a wash, really, really super thin. Just to kind of give you an idea, we just take a little bit and just kind of drop it down here. Okay, that's probably already too much. We'll just kind of work it in, get underneath that roof, around the doorway. really, really nice effects that you can get if you're just willing to take your time. And I do apologize if it's a little hard to see. Keep in mind, this is while I'm not new to modeling, I'm not necessarily used to filming in this type of environment. So I will certainly improve over time as far as the filming goes. But you get the general idea of what this should look like. And obviously, we're going to continue to do some weathering and whatnot. Trying to get that D and RGW yellow buffish flavor. It really isn't a bad kit, I gotta tell you. I intentionally kind of nicked up this with a small knife just to see if I could add some additional texture to it. Get it a little closer so you can kind of see right there. And I was pretty pleased with how we got some additional texture right there. I don't want it to look completely beaten up, but I wanted to see if I could add some additional texture, and got to be honest with you, pretty pleased about that. Don't forget to get the underneath sides of the roof. Now, obviously, this has already been assembled. You'd probably want to paint these ahead of time, but I'm working with what I got. And I got to be honest with you, I'm pretty impressed. Let's finish up the painting. Now, I've got a little bit of leftover sample paint from, this is actually just house paint. Got a little bit of sample paint right here that I'm kind of working in, and you can see I've already got a couple of different layers of what looks like faded paint. Remember that the railroad really would not have probably spent a ton of money in maintenance of way buildings and that type of thing. And so, kind of going with the theme of our railroad, our junk gets it done. And so we're making it happen. I just splatter things around because honestly, it's the general effect that I'm looking for. I also want to show you just really how easy it is to just start and do something. It isn't rocket science. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to make it look like, I'm actually going to re-roof this. I'm going to show you what I do with that as well. I really like how this has come out. And looks really, really good. We'll try to get it under some good light here when it's all said and done. What I'm going to do is, you can see that there are patches right here. And, you know, I kind of like the idea of where they're going with this, that there's patches, because that's probably what the railroad would do. But I'm actually going to do something a little different right here. And actually, the more I think about it, I think I'm going to do it right there because it'll be more visible. So I am going to make it look like we've got a section of roof where the boards have been exposed and the roof is kind of peeling. And I'm going to do it in this general area here. Now that's probably more roof exposed than I want, but you're going to get the general idea of what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm actually going to wipe some of that down because I think I actually put it on too thick. That's all right. I've got a little bit of working time here. And that's probably about what I want. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to draw. I have a pen called an Identa pen. When this paint dries, I'll be able to draw a very thin line and make it look like there's actually a couple of boards that are exposed. And that where the roofing tar paper is kind of peeled up a little bit. And the railroad hasn't gotten around to doing it, so the wood is starting to get exposed and get weathered. And so that's what is going to go on right in this general area here. Just a little bit more dry brushing. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now we've got a couple of different shades going. That should look really, really good. Okay. Now I got just a little bit of brown right on the very tip of my brush. And I'm just pulling everything kind of straight down. This is going to kind of simulate how weathering actually is on a building. You don't want to be brushing like this. You actually always want your strokes to go up to down, up to down, up to down. Now look at how that is really starting to look. Really, really happy with how this is starting to come out. Now, I also did the same thing here, although because this is going to hold a lot of sand, there would naturally be probably a lot of sand right down here. And so again, I just put a little bit on the brush, kind of dabbed around at the bottom, and kind of just worked it on in. Again, always going up, down, up, down, up, down. Super, super, super important. I actually got a glob of paint here I'm not sure I care about. So we're going to try to make that maybe a little less noticeable. There. I think that did the trick. Yeah. We also want to do it on the inside because remember, this is sand here. And speaking of sand, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with that next. And by the way, this is how our roof is kind of dried up. I'm really excited about that. All right, so I've got some cheap old glue in the top, ironically, had set. And so I guess we'll just go in here and pull out a scoop. Why not? All right, so I'm just going to move this glue around, get this all nice and wet. Not going to pay an awful lot of attention other than the fact that I've got everything covered, because remember, this is about model railroading inexpensively. And we can still come out with a very nice product if we just get a little bit creative. Now, what I mean by that is we're going to use some leftover grout that I had, actually outdoor grout, and we're going to sprinkle it right on here. It's almost the perfect color. You're going to see it here in just a minute. Now, you might not have leftover grout, but I'll tell you what, I know that you got to know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who might be in the construction business, and they can help you with some leftover grout, maybe from a construction job that they did, that they were working on. You can go to a construction site, new construction. Just ask those guys, hey, do you have any leftover grout? And they can help you out. All right, looks like I've got everything covered. And I'm going to go ahead and just sprinkle some grout. I actually got a little bit of glue right here on the top, so I'm just going to wipe that off here real quick. Let's get that grout going. Tap it off. Look at how realistic that looks. Again, just kind of sift it around, tap it off. And because it's so close to the natural color that was under there, I didn't even have to do anything other. Didn't have to paint it, nothing. Okay, next up, it's time to work on the roof. Now, I told you earlier that, and you can probably, hopefully you can see that. That is the area that I'm going to leave exposed, make it look like boards. We're going to put the roofing material on next. The roofing material is this right here. It's just sandpaper. Now, you're going to think I'm crazy when I tell you this, but you can get this sandpaper for free if you're just willing to humble yourself, go to the local body shop in your area and say, hey, you got any used sandpaper that you're not using? I'd like to grab some. Most times they're going to have, at minimum, 400 grit. Chances are they're probably going to have sandpaper up to 2,000 grit. And you get a couple of used pieces of sandpaper and it is almost the perfect texture of roofing material in HO scale. Again, this is just 400 grit, and I flashed some cheap flat black paint on it. And when I say I flashed it, I let some of the color that was on that sandpaper, which happened to be blue, I let it kind of come through, and it just gives me different shades of black. So next, what I'm going to do is I cut these to the same size strips that were here, and I'm going to go ahead and use some super glue to glue the strips on. Now, the reason why I want to use super glue instead of just regular white glue or something like that is it'll attach the paper down relatively quick, and that's what I want to do. I don't want, I actually want to have some of the seams kind of showing and lifting up a little bit. This is what I like using. I like using Bob Smith Industries glue. I've been using it for decades. I still use it for, even before I got back into modeling, I was still using that glue for household projects and stuff like that. So it's a great glue. I highly recommend it. You can get it online. You can get it at your local hobby shop if they don't have it. Yeah, and just a great glue. Use their accelerator if you need to as well. So we're going to go ahead and start doing that next. All right, and here's our finished model. We're going to go ahead and zoom on in so that you can see all of the detail. Now we'll start with the base. I mentioned that I was going to throw the base away, but I went ahead and finished the base. The model's just resting on it. I don't have it glued on it, but I wanted you to see it with the base, just so that if you decided you wanted to use the base, you can. And we did the same process for sand on the base as we did for sand in the bunk. And let's take a look at the roof. Now, I laid this patch across. Also, I feathered up the edges here. Notice the lines that we drew. They represent boards really, really nice. Now, also on the roof, I used X-Acto number 5 and cut lines right through the paper. And over here, we can see our wash on the sand tower itself. This was actually broken, so I had to do kind of a butt glue joint. I don't really care for those, but it was broken. And also, this was a big old glob of glue that I couldn't get off without possibly destroying the sanding tower. So I decided to just leave well enough alone. But you get the general idea. This is really, really a nice little find. And with just a little bit of extra work, including used sandpaper, we put together a very presentable model. I'm really pleased how this came out. What's up next? We're going to go ahead and take this old IHC snap together water tower and do something marvelous with that, just like we did here. So have a wonderful day, and y'all be blessed.